All right, we are right back into another preview Friday. I got a couple different videos to do, but this one I didn't want to get it out of the way because now we feature the new Destruction Rare cards and as well as a set 5 power boosters. They're interesting cards. All of them are very interesting cards. I love these cards. The power boosters aren't really what we expected, but let's go ahead and get into these already. These are all of the Bobbity or Bibbity? Bobbity. Yeah, Bobbity controlled type of characters in the Dragon Ball Heroes set. So if you didn't know, that's where they got it from. That's why there's a big M. That's where there's a big M here in the actual pack if you never saw that before. But we do feature the Lord Slug, which is awesome. He is only getting better and better with every support card that he gets. It's crazy. And then the Bojack, which is an interesting card. I'll tell you why this is actually a pretty good card. The Vegeta, which is probably going to be a money card along with the Geneva. And then Android 13, just like any other Android 13 card, is all right at best, but can have his own merit. I think he can definitely be played in the right deck. But let's go into him. Let's get into it. I don't want to waste too much time. This is the first one. Vegeta. When you play this card, choose one of your opponent's battle cards with 25,000 or less power and KO it. So he is a 3 cost, by the way, 20k, 0 cost, 5k, and I think all of them are pretty much the same thing, just with the actual, difference of the actual card. So they all have Balbity and they're all 3-drop 20ks. Anyway, so he has an activate main with 1 blue. Yes, 1 blue when he has 2 red and a red card. And the leader card is red. This gains 10k power, double strike, and dual attack for the duration of turn. This is such a huge boost to not only, well, I was going to say blue-red decks, but just, I guess, red leaders with blue-red decks. And we're actually getting more and more support cards for red from the new Negate and the I don't know, we have a lot of stuff. I went over it, the set 6 red cards, if I can post it or put it at the top right, go check that out. But we are getting a lot of support for red, and it's becoming a better color the more we see more cards in this set and beyond. But which is crazy because it's the same thing with green. Both of those cards were kind of lackluster, and now Bandai is introducing more and more things, and now rewarding dual colored red specific leaders to play this card. And I think this covers a lot, like just like the 3-drop the 3-drop Frieza that KOs 20k or less. This covers a lot, like anything from 4 to 5 costs and less, it can probably KO it without barrier. The other thing about this is that this is hugely related to something like a blue-red Pan. Obviously Pan is still a solid leader. She topped the last 2 events. And with this card, he gains double strike and dual attack and a 30k. And of course, on play, he gets to KO something and get a draw, and as well as 25k as far as a 25k beater. Of course, that's just only in Pan, but now we have Baby. Now we have all of these other red leaders and as well as this red support that's going to get even better with this card and others. But just in general, like this is just good to see, just dual color support. I love it. Now let's talk about Geneva, Agent of Destruction. So this guy is a 4-drop 20k, which makes sense because now this is Psyche Demon slash Childish Geneva support, and just Geneva support in general, because this guy is a critical. No, he does not have deflect, which means yes, he is affected by cold bloodlust, but he does have an activate main in which you get to warp this card to your own warp and then draw a card, and they place 3 cards from the top of the deck to the drop area. The other part of it is that activate the skill when you play it from your hand or warp, and at the end of the turn, if it is your turn, you choose 1 of your energy and activate switch it to active mode. So there's a lot of things that this card does, obviously. So he's a 20k beater. He is a warp and go away, as far as like I can go ahead and warp and then play a reality bender if need be right after. And then at the minimum, as long as you get the leader swing, which I'll talk about in a second, you get 2 from your leader swing and then 2 more from reality bender, that's 4, and then 7 more, or 7 in total after using this man. And of course you can get a swing from Childish Geneva as well, and a draw 2 technically from the leader swing, and as well as from this card, and as well as an energy switch to active mode. So a lot of things are happening here, and at the very least it's going to be turn 3, or at the very earliest it's going to be turn 3. And if they have 4 energy and you have none or no battle cards, which you're probably not going to be having any battle cards with Geneva in the first place, you can get a secondary 20k critical. And those are all that's very all situational, right? Games in card making, deck building, whatever you want to say, is all very situational. It's all very theory craft, right? And that's the whole point of making these decks and thinking about these things before trying to take this out into an event or locals or whatever. But I think that's the best case scenario, and I think with this card, it is just crazy. It is just wild that Bandai would just put out another Geneva as far as giving support, because I feel like right now Geneva is in a good place. Even with this card, I personally wouldn't think that you would replace this or replace Demon Sword with this card. I think you can run at least 2 of them in this along with the Demon Sword, and just use Childish Geneva. I mean, I don't feel like that's going to be too much of a big deal. I've seen some comments about like some replacing Demon Sword. I don't think that you should, and as well as a few other things as far as that goes. I did see some comments about Borgos, but it is choose up to 1, so you're not required to do that. You can always run Zeno button instead. I've seen some comments as far as setting this to warp instead of the bottom of the deck. Yes, that is true, but you can just go ahead and send a Childish Wish, because that is, or a Childish Wish, a Childish Heart Geneva to your warp when you activate the 1-cost blue energy effect, and then choose this one in the warp and then put that out there. That's my game plan. If I'm going to play Geneva, I'm going to be doing that. So I play out the 1-drop first, and then the 3-drop on top of it involving, and then play 1. Warp 1 that is another Childish from my deck into the warp, and then warp this bad boy out afterwards. That's after you use this effect. So again, so that way you can maximize on the mill and you focus on that. I think that's probably the best thing to do. The other scary part, and I can see why. I can see, you know, where Bandai is doing, or where Bandai is going with Geneva. I feel as though that they don't think they need a silver bullet or a direct answer card to that. And the reason for that is because of all these cards being released. And the reason why I say that is because they're all 20k base, which Geneva needs to get to 20k on average in order to block an effect, so they're automatically wasting another card. The other thing is that Lord Slug is getting an incredible amount of support, not only with this card, with all the other cards that I discussed. If you didn't check out that video of why he's going to be good in set 6, please go check that out. I'm most likely going to be playing him. Watch out for that. And it's all due to hand destruction, not only this card but also the Android 13 for that. And then we also have this card that's also a direct answer to Geneva. Technically it is a direct answer to Geneva. And the other thing is Super Shenron. So technically we don't have direct answer cards for Geneva, and I think people who are a little butthurt for Geneva need to realize that, like, hey, just understand that we have a few different things. And I think Manny Combs from 3xG posted something somewhere, I forgot where, I think on Facebook, Super Shenron hand control, which is a huge good thing. I'm using words, I'm using English words, but a really good idea when it comes to a Geneva counter, and something that can probably compete in a general basis. And I think if you look towards that direction, not only for Super Shenron and as well as just hand destruction, hand control, you know, these things can kind of mitigate Geneva in general. But I will say, if you're going to be playing Geneva, you want this card, and he's still going to be pretty oppressive in its own sort of archetype, because no other, I mean, yeah, you can play this and a few other cards from Geneva, all the other cards really, in other decks, but Geneva does it best because of that guaranteed leader swing, almost guaranteed now, to mill 2. So yeah. All right, let's move on to Lord Slug. This bad boy is a bad boy, because now that was stupid. When you play this card, your opponent chooses 1 card from their hand and places it in the drop area. So now he is a 3-cost 20k 2 green energy. Now there's 2 things to consider. There's a card in which is not on this list, which is the Bobbity, which is a blue cost for 1. It's a blue cost 1 blue 1 cost with the barrier that reduces. Okay, I'm just gonna look it up. Right? I'm just gonna Bobby D. Can I just do that? Is he here? Yeah, here he goes. So he's a barrier 1 cost, and you can only have 1 in your battle area, and then reduce all energy costs of your energy discretion cards in your hand by 1. Why is this important? Well, it's because that Wings already reduces Lord Slug and Slug's army by 1, so he becomes a 2-drop on turn 2 that drops them 1 card, and as well as is a 3k or 3 cost 20k beater on turn 2, which is just great. I just love it. And the other thing is that with Bobbity, which I don't know if you're going to be doing that, if you're going to be playing blue-green, that could be a variant. I don't know how consistent that would be, but you could be playing that with him and then play this man for 1. And if you didn't know, this is the Wings card that I'm talking about. He does have barrier as well, and then you can only have 1 in your battle area as well. And it says reduce the energy costs. It does not say specified, so that's another thing to kind of consider, because I think because it says reduce it by 1 and it doesn't say specify cost like Kaba, you're gonna have to pay it for 2 either way. But at the very least, the 4-drop Slug can be reduced by 2, so there you go. Either way, still really good, because now he is a 1 energy, well, 2 cost at the very least, instead of the 1 drop that I was thinking of, but still a 2 cost that you can pay 1 green in order to drop a 3 cost or less Slug and play it. So you could play again the 2-drop that searches, or the 3-drop Anguilla, I do believe, which you swing with 15k critical and they drop 1 card. The only downside to Slug right now is Tau. So the only thing you can really, the only huge answer, the best answer for that is double impact Krillin. So if you don't have that in your Slug deck, you probably should, or at the very least in the side, just as a recommendation. But that Tau will fuck up your day. Like, he will fuck up your day if you're playing Slug. Speaking of Android 13, so very interesting card as a 20k critical, just like Geneva, but his activate main is you pay 2 and you KO something on their side. Doesn't have a limit, so that's awesome in general. And then your opponent chooses 1 card from your hand to place in the drop area. I think this is a good world peace target, and as well as just in general, like it's just a 3-drop. It is really good. But I think in Shenron hand control variants, either the Black Shenron, Super Shenron, any other Shenron variant, this could do pretty well, because for 2 energy after your world peace, that's really good, just to KO something and make them drop something. Plus, it doesn't have a once per turn, so you can do it as many times as you want as long as you have the energy. So that's always something to consider as well. And now we have the Bojack. So I mentioned before, as far as the number of answers, and this technically is one, because when you play this card, when you choose up to 1 of the opponent's battle cards in the barrier and you switch to rest mode, which is nice. You know, that's answering to the Lord Slug's Wings, to the Bobbity, to a number of other things, right? And the other thing is that the activate main is really the biggest part. If this card is in rest mode, which means you have to attack or switch it to rest in somehow, some way, choose your leader card, or your opponent's leader card that is, switch it to rest mode, and it can't be switched to active mode until the end of your opponent's next turn. So obviously unless they have a card, or we have a card that I don't know of, that switches to active mode in general, that is before the turn starts, this pretty much means they can't untap it until their next turn. And as long as this thing is on the field in rest mode, you can do this as many times as you want. And the thing about it is that it does lock out the Geneva from doing, or at least the Geneva leader, the mill leader, from swinging and milling them out, or milling you out more cards than what they actually want, right? So that's also technically a quote-unquote answer. I think as we go into more and more sets, we're gonna see more and more answers for this. And I think Bojack doesn't really have, like, this automatically is useless to, like, what should we call it, Shenron leaders, right? The ones that don't attack. But it can do a little bit of some goodness. Probably not to any of the attack, take life, and draw, simply because by the turn that you have this out, like 3 energy or world peace, it's not going to matter, because at that time they're probably going to be awakened. But denying them a leader swing could be pretty good. Just not that oppressive as you might think. Overall, I think all of the destruction rares are really good, and as we go into further sets, we're probably going to get more and more rarities like this. So as it said it was a campaign rare. So the campaign switch, quote unquote, you can't see my little fingers, but quote unquote is the Destroyer Kings, and of course the campaign being Destroyer Kings, and then campaign rare is Destruction Rare. Put those 2 and 2 together, now we have a new rarity. So again, in the future sets like set 7, we might have like a god theme, right? It could be a god rare, or that actually sounds pretty tight, but it could be something else, right? It could be something completely different. And yeah, just to clear that up for a lot of people who've been asking. And of course, we thought that there was going to be a errata or something coming, because there was a designer note, I think, that was on the strategy page, but it got removed. But really, it's just the design concepts. So thankfully, it's just explaining all of the design concepts here. Pretty cool read. Nothing new or crazy that we didn't know already. And now let's go through all of the Miraculous Survival Set 5 power boosters. So just like the last one, you do have to purchase 6 cards. I get this question quite a lot. If you're this far into the video, thank you, because again, you now know how to get it. So it begins in April. You get 6 packs. It is a sealed format, not draft. So you build a deck. I've done a few of them now for the set 4. Yeah, set 4. But you get set 5 packs and you just build a deck. That's really about it. But in return, you get a power booster that has 3 random cards of these. I don't think these are going to be as highly sought out for as the last power booster. I think Bandai probably realized that, and this is all more support for the set 5 wish leaders in the first place. So all the wish leaders except for the Black Shenron, so that's always nice. King Piccolo, he's a 1-drop 5k, so you play him for 1. Leader card is red. You choose up to 3 Dragon Balls, yes, and place in the drop area. Don't get him from the hand, which would be amazing, but I don't know why. I'm just saying, Bandai, if you're watching this, you already released 3 different leaders that can plus 2 with no energy paid, right? But in order to make these cards worth it, you should have put this into their hand. There's one card that puts them into their hand, but you should have put this one into the hand and let them draw 3 for 1 energy. Come on, I'm just saying. But put them in the drop and shuffle your deck. If you place cards in your drop area, you play 1 Piccolo or King's Return to Youth from your deck and activate it and shuffle your deck. If you didn't know what that was, it is a desire, and your leader cards are red. You choose up to 1 King Piccolo Terror Unleash and King Return from your deck and add it to your hand, and then shuffle. That's it. So you're basically just getting this card, which is the SR? Yeah, it's the SR that has double strike and sparking 10, and you get to switch it to active mode basically. So pretty cool. I mean, all right. That's a card, all right. Great Sandman Hero Justice. This is a 2-drop for the blue Shenron leader. You choose up to 2 Dragon Balls from your deck, add it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So for this one, you do get the draw with them because it goes to your hand for 2 energy. So again, Bandai, if you really wanted to add support for these wish leaders, you would have just put them to a 1-drop 10k and then add it to your hand. Again, if you really wanted to speed up these decks and add a support for them, I'm just saying. I don't think it's gonna be broken, but I mean, you level set these leaders and cards when you do that. I don't know. Maybe I should just take a step back and really look at everything. Maybe they thought it was just too good. Who knows? But if you add it to cards from your hand, you drop 1 card and place in the drop area, which is another thing. I'm like, well, okay, well, I guess I'll just drop one of the Dragon Balls because I probably need the other cards because it doesn't draw that much anyway. Moving on, the only other one, I think this is probably the one that I actually really like, in which you play this card or combo with it, and your leader card is a green Shenron. You choose up to 3 Dragon Balls yet again and place in the drop area. Amazing. Thank you for letting me awaken, I guess. Or wish, and then shuffle your deck. And yeah, I get it. But if you play multiple ones like this one, turn 1, turn 2, I get it. You can wish very early. I get it. Whatever. But anyway, if you place cards in your drop area, choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards at any cost of 1 and KO it. So the huge thing about this is the 0 cost 5k. You just combo it and then you choose up to 3. If you do it twice, Then you have 6 cards, and you drop area, and then there you go. Dragon Ball cards, that is. And then you get to KO something one cost or less. This is Shigesh for 1 cost. Cool. Tagoma's pretty cool too. If Frieza or Sorbet card is in your battle area, it's a 2 cost 5k. You can play this without paying the energy cost. So it's a free 5k. When you play the card, you lead a card as a Liao Shenron. You choose up to 1 Dragon Ball from your deck and place in the drop area. You draw 1 card and you can't play it for the rest of your turn. So cool for the Sorbet slash Frieza Wish Leader. He's always been kind of tier B, you know, like slightly in the middle. He has his own archetype, he has his own thing for it. The 4-drop for 2 cost Desire is really good. Any of the 4 drops is pretty damn good. In this card, in order to get 1 more Dragon Ball into your drop and then draw 1, is really not that bad. It's good for deck thinning and as well as early plays, because you're going to be playing one of the Sorbets to do the Dragon Seeking. And this could be good in the set 1 Frieza, the Golden Frieza, where you can play this with the Sorbet, the 1-drop Sorbet, or a Frieza, the vegging that top 3, and then you play this for no cost, and then now you have a free draw slash whatchamacallit, the untap energy. There you go. So that's always a thought for you. And then Vegeta, reluctant for reinforcements. He's a 3-drop 20k. What a surprise! A barrier card, in which you play this card, you lead a card as a Black Saiyan card. Yes, so this means the Black Man Saiyan or the black Mass Saiyan. So the Mass Saiyan, the starter deck one, there you go, the crit one. Okay, you place 5 cards from the top of the deck into your drop area, which is quite a lot, but it makes sense because you pay 1 energy, you place it in the drop area, and you choose 1 black battle card with 19,000 power in the drop area and play it. So you literally get to replace this for 1 for the SR, and the top 5 is really good, so that way you can get that effect afterwards. So overall, a pretty solid card, especially with barrier if you don't want to attack with it, because you're probably gonna be attacking next turn to pay for 1 and then get the SR out. Nothing crazy, but a solid card, definitely. All right, boys and girls, that is it for this video. Please subscribe, like, comment below what you think about all of these decks, or wow, all these cards, and as well as the effect that it'll have either on the meta or other decks that we have already. Do you like the Geneva card? Do you like the discretion cards? Do you like any of the power boosters? It's very you know, that's kind of what the consensus is right now. And then of course we have the SCR cards, the secret rares, next week, and then probably as soon as the SCR cards are going to be released, that's when I'm going to be releasing any and all deck profiles for set 6 in general. And then of course from now until San Diego, which is the 30th of March, which I will be there, I will be prepping more appropriately and making sure to figure out what I want to play. So I'll see you in the next one. Later.